All of you put your mobile on silent mode. Huh? Okay, we start. A very good morning to all of you. It is my pleasure to speak to you achievements of quality of cement concrete to meet consumers' expectations. Well, friends, my experience in quality control is totally around 15 years. My experience in the profession 46 years. I started my career in Tata Power Company that was known as Tata Electric Companies Limited. There were three companies, then later on they merged into one and became Tata Power Company Limited. My main experience comes in two phases as far as quality is concerned. One is when I was looking after the quality assurance and quality control of the 500 megawatt unit in the country, and later on we did projects with Tata Electric companies. The first 500 megawatt power station commenced in somewhere around 1979, and this was mainly to attend to the power shortage in Mumbai and surrounding areas, because Mumbai was developing very fast, and hence we had to make sure we had to give consistent power supply as well as power supply to many consumers, and the expectation was consistent power supply. Who are who were our consumers? Mainly the railways, then of course the hospitals, industries, commercial and residential complexes in India and Maharashtra, local corporation, and most important, the common man. He travels by train, he needs hospitals, industries, etc. In those days, the company, Tata companies, brought out which said 1 day's this delay will cause rupees 1 crore loss to the industry. So we had to even fight with time, we fight with quality, and also make sure that the power station is commissioned without any difficulty within a period of about 5 years. My second phase, I left Tata Electric companies and joined Ambuja Cement, but in the latter part of my 21 years in Ambuja, 21 years I almost passed our company. In the latter phase, I was in charge of product quality management, looking after the quality control of all 20 producing stations, cement producing stations. Some were the mother ones and the others were grinding units. Soon the consumers were identified. We started in Mumbai when I joined the Ambuja Cement with only a sale of 10,000 metric tons per month, and which later grew to about 5 tons of cement per month in Mumbai. We had consumers. The main and important was the common man, masons, small contractors, construction agencies, repair agencies, builders. Some were the procurement persons and some owners themselves. It was observed generally that architects do a major role in buying cement, but the civil engineers do, influencing the consumer to buy a particular brand or of cement can be by way of many reasons, mainly based on quality and price, and of course, sometimes the quantity they buy. At times, it may be due to environmental conditions, reasons, presence of chemicals in the atmosphere, in the groundwater and subsoil, which cause deleterious effect on concrete. Consumers can easily understand the measure of concrete strength from the laboratory tests. But the strength and durability is difficult to achieve or predict in the field. The main reason being, when we cast a cube under laboratory conditions, the temperature is around 27 degrees centigrade and the humidity could be around 80 to 90%. Now, the most important thing one must understand is cube cast and tested is well compacted, well leveled and filled, and also, as far as possible, free from entrapped air and do not have any honeycombs. While on the site, we make sure that the same conditions are achieved, but it is not generally. We get defects, we get honeycombs, we use sometimes high water to cement ratio leading to high amount of capillary pores, bigger capillary pores. We have reinforcement. The cubes are not reinforced. And above all, and the most importantly, curing is often neglected on the site, but the cube is always cast properly, cured properly, and therefore it is likely to give a better strength than what happens actually in the field. I have divided my lecture into 10 rules, which, in my opinion and my experience, were some very important factors which the engineers have to consider when they want to achieve the expectations of their consumers. Concrete looks simple to work with, but defect concrete to meet the consumer's expectation is difficult because they have got various types of expectation, non-technical also, that low price or quantity discounts, etc. But the most difficult part is the different types of quality demands and different types of cements available, which to recommend where plays a very important role. Often the consumers complain that the cracks which appear in their concrete is due to cracks in cement. But this is not true. It can never be true. Cement has no cracks in it. Later on, when the ready-mix concrete came, the consumers said that the concrete supplied by the ready-mix company is full of cracks. That is also not true. The cracks happen. I've already covered the basic reasons of cracking in my earlier lecture, where I have distinctly shown the reasons for cracking. Cracks generally come due to the plastic shrinkage, the nature of concrete itself, which contains water. As the water leaves the concrete, shrinkage takes place, and that results in cracks. Then there are dry shrinkage which are occurring. Later on, due to the corrosion of steel, again cracks occur, which you see here in the photograph. So there are various for cracks to occur, certainly not in the material component. Curing, if it is not done adequately, it will invite cracks in concrete, but that does not mean that the prime material cement or the concrete itself is not it's supplied with cracks. When the ready-mix concrete came, some of the consumers were relieved because now concrete was mechanized, and of course the human factor reduced. So with the mechanization, more accuracy came in, and the expectations of consumers, demand of proper quality and control also increased. Even ready-mix concrete quality has to be supervised, and it is dependent on all the workers engaged in the industry, and also depend on the supervision by the consumer himself. Coming to rule number one, the leadership. Leadership is very important, and when I say leadership, means the managing director of the company, who is always in charge of the quality. He should be in charge of quality, and he has taken upon himself to see that he gives quality to his consumers. You can see on the photograph J.R.D. Tata, who was the chairman of the Tata Sons, and also
Sir, sound is not coming.
the the topmost man in the organization must be convinced that the quality must be had, that it should be had, and having been so convinced, has sent out a word that it must be had. Because he is in charge, and he has to make sure that the consumers, you can see here on the photograph is Mr. Surendra Hiranandani, who was the managing director of the Hiranandani Builders and was looking after the quality of his construction. He, all managing directors, I call them as the kings in the concrete jungle, because their contribution is by far the maximum as far as quality is concerned. When I was with the Tata Electric companies, we had Mr. K.M. Chinappa, the managing director of the company. On the right hand side photograph, you see a column which is badly honeycombed, and a lot of segregation of concrete took place. It was a 3-meter tall column, and the one in the photograph is by 2-meter size. And the method used for concreting by the contractor was wrong, in spite of several requests not to do the way he proposed to do. However, since it became difficult for the quality control to clear the column, the management intervened, and it went up to the topmost man, who insisted that, okay, since we have given a very well-known agency the work, let him do the way he wants. If it is not constructed properly to our liking, to our specifications, we will take necessary action. The first three columns, mind you, came very bad. I am showing the best amongst the three. There was a column which was about 2 meter by 3 meter, which we could see light coming right through. There was such a deep honeycomb on all sides, and the story went that the managing director himself visited the site to see the columns. I was in the field. There were very many senior people attending the meeting on that day to decide the fate of those columns, mostly to decide the repairs of those columns. And when the managing director came on the site, he requested me to show the columns. He did not go to the meeting first. And I showed him the columns, and his face looked like as if he has sucked a very sour lime. And I could make out from his expressions that he was totally unhappy. He asked me, what is to be done, Mr. Godi? And I told him in one single sentence, sir, order the columns to be demolished. He just snatched the writing pad in my hand and wrote the same words, but below that was an order from the managing director. He told me to go there personally to the conference room, send somebody junior to the conference room and hand over this sheet to the deciding over the meeting. And soon I saw 20, 30 senior executives of the company, of the contractor, and the consultants all coming out, yes, sir, we were discussing the same. Actually, they were discussing the modus operandi to repairing these problems. Ultimately, as instructions of the managing director, the columns were demolished. You can see the managing director, elderly looking man, no one else but KM Chinappa. Totally reject the first product found to be non-compliant in quality. And I followed this step very correctly, I think, and I had the opportunity to do it because the first three columns came back. Any compromise by way of chalta hai attitude will encourage poor quality of work to continue. This was Guru had taught, Mr. A.P. Remedios. He used to say the same words, and I learned it from him and I followed it. And fortunately for me, the managing director also agreed to this suggestion. When I joined the cement company, this the photograph you see was is of the two MDs, and the person sitting in the center behind in the backdrop is the founder MD, Mr. Narottam Saxena, who really gave me a lot of support in my initial part of the career with Ambuja Cement. And he was a star to give the consumers the best quality cement available in the country. Here is in the foreground is Mr. Kapoor, our managing director, who is about to retire and hand over charge to Mr. One. And he also mentioned that ACL should continue to give good quality cement, and it was agreed by the incoming MD also. And rest was history. I had good experience of almost 13, 14 years on large projects of Tata Electric Company. Later on, they were called Tata Power Company Limited. And I learned another very important rule, that the quality control person must report directly to the top man and not through the person or persons in any manner connected with either the plant producing the cement or the project. Now, this was a very, very important engagement of person. But it is very seldom that the quality control man is positioned in such a way that he reports to the top man in the company. It is always through persons or persons connected with the plant project or with the company. However, the reporting system is very, very important. The managing director must get their either a weekly report of the non-compliances observed by the quality control people, etc. Because ultimately, quality control is an audit, and quality assurance is an external audit, which gives the indication to the top man in the organization and the board of directors that yes, quality is being maintained to the satisfaction of the guidelines given to the quality assurance and to the quality control persons. When I joined Ambuja Cement, before I joined Ambuja Cement, I used to always think that the cement industry is a very organized industry compared to the construction industry. And therefore, there are chances that the quality control of cement will be little easier than the quality control of concrete in the field. But contrary to my expectations, it was not so. Though both QA/QC and concrete are poles apart, but both have their different ways to achieve the consumer satisfaction. And by far, the cement industry has a very big and very large consumer sections with various criteria for the satisfaction as compared to the construction industry. This is the report area of a plant manager of a cement company who has to be like an in charge and has various functions, including the production, the process performance, the maintenance, and quality control, plus the support functions like administration and others. The plant manager, of course, reports either to the business head or to the managing director directly. The managing director will give the guide of the quality of cement he wants depending on the location of the plant and the available raw materials like clinker, and of course the mines where the limestone is quarried in that particular region. It need not be that the criteria will be same for the quality control persons in various regions. It will again depend on the quality of the clinker available and produced by the mother plant and the limestone quality available in the vicinity. The quality control manager has again is the head of the laboratories in the plant and also in the production producing clinkers, because we had a number of plants which were just grinding units. So, but of course, the quality control functions were there, even though in a much milder form as compared to mother plant. The mother plant had to produce clinker of good quality and supply to the various grinding units in the market where the quality of the cement produced depended mainly on the clinker and the limestone in the mother plant vicinity or produced by the mother plant itself. The concrete testing was also included as per the Holcim guidelines when Holcim took over Ambuja Cement because they very rightly felt that since cement is major use is concrete in our country and very little use is there for other types of operations on the site using cement, and therefore we had to test the cement also in concrete to see how it performs, very rightly so. There were very differences in those days. The alternate fuel laboratories were also installed, online analysis systems were there, and various sensing systems in robotized form were introduced by some of the plants, not only in our company but also in various other companies supplying cement in the industry. The laser granulometer, which analyzes the particle size of very fine particles which come in between 3 micron and 30 micron and gives indication to the quality manager if the 60% passing are there, then the cement production will be of a good quality. And again, that cement can be used in concrete to produce good quality concrete. One thing I would like to stress is that the difference between the industry existing in the earlier years, construction industry, it was mainly labor oriented. And the difference in the cement industry came first because there were computers used to analyze the cement, various ingredients, the raw materials, etc. Robotization came in. And one must understand that when computers and robots do the work of human being, they have no biases. They don't work for their promotions. They work as per the data given by the engineer to the computer to the robot, and they execute the correct type of work with very little defect. When I came to the Tata Power company and we launched the first ever automatic batching plant, state of the art batching plant imported from Switzerland and Germany, we got the same treatment small like also worked on manual mode where every operation of each material going into the plant was controlled by pressing of a button. And whenever it was run on manual due to any reasons, the quality control parameters were showing larger variation of the quality than when it was done on the automatic or semi-automatic mode. Coming to the organizational chart of Tata Electric Companies, unit number 5, the first 500 megawatt unit in the country, constructed between 1979 and 1984. The managing director, he was also the vice chairman, Mr. Chinappa, took charge of the whole unit. With under him were two deputy managing directors. One was the finance man, the other was a technical person, Mr. S.P. Manektala. Mr. Manektala was given the charge of quality as well as the project, and he had a very important role to play along with the inputs of the consultants as well as the inputs of the managing director. He had under him two key officers, the senior consultant who partially looked after the project as well as the quality control, and the general manager thermal who was supposed to take over the power plant under his custody after it was commissioned. People felt that he should be involved in quality right from the beginning to see and ensure and head the quality assurance sector. And therefore, the manager thermal played also a very major role. Under the manager thermal was the manager quality control and assurance, who had various divisions under him: the electrical, the mechanical, the automation, and purchase, etc., to ensure that everything was in order. The civil part was handled by me under the manager quality assurance and manager quality control, and also the field quality assurance, quality control staff, and laboratory staff later on also reported to me, so that proper quality is controlled and also assured. Now coming to the process, rule number 3, very important: every worker or supervisor in the plant team plays a vital role in quality control, and hence it is important that everyone is aware of the quality control system and inspection procedures. Mind you, this is a very important thing, and it is also applicable to the construction field or the project, that everyone should be involved in the QC system and inspection procedures. Because we have seen in the cement industry, from the quarry to the lorry where the cement goes out to the market, there are various steps wherein the inputs of quality are absolutely necessary. Similarly, even in the field where you are running a project, it is always very important to see that each and everything, each and every agency doing the work is properly supervised and controlled. Workers make the difference between success and failure of the quality system, and therefore they should be knowledgeable, therefore they should understand the system and importance of quality in every step they take. Teamwork helps to achieve quality. It is important to build up a trained team. When I joined Ambuja, I ensured that all the technicians who are not civil engineers were trained. They might be qualified chemists or some very senior process management people, that they are trained in each and every part of quality they are supposed to achieve. And because quality of cement also became a part of their curriculum, it was important that they also have some background of how good quality concrete has to be produced. So they underwent training programs. It was a team effort, and team building is very important, especially during the training program where you train people to achieve the best quality you can think of. Every worker and supervisor in the plant plays a vital role. Like, for example, on the site, the operator, the plant operator of the so-called ready mix plant which we had, or the automatic plant which we had, played a very, very important role. We observed that once one of the operators in the early days of Unit 5 was a little over ambitious or a little cautious, whatever you say, and because a micro switch which was controlling the water addition in the plant was not functioning properly, he switched over to the manual mode of concreting. Means he's pressing one button at a time when the ingredients are falling, and it all depends on what he's thinking at that time, because human beings have a mind which can stray away from the work and therefore are vulnerable to mistakes and quality non-compliances. At the end of the month, we suddenly realized that there was a lot of variation in quality when we checked the coefficient of variation. And we went back to the plant and saw that this man, knowingly or unknowingly, has made his life easier but made the life of quality difficult by switching over to manual mode. So he was corrected. The problem was that every month or so, or maybe even less than a month, the operators used to leave their job and go to Middle East to fetch higher wages. And therefore, training the operator had to be on day-to-day basis and not once in a way. A training program is undertaken like in the cement plant, etc., or a training program for engineers and supervisors is conducted on the project. Again, I repeat, workers make the difference between success and failure. In short, you must learn to build up a team which is capable of delivering quality, which includes the quality control, and a team which is capable of reporting and analyzing quality, a quality assurance team. When I was given farewell by my colleagues at the Tata Electric companies, because I was to join Ambuja Cement later on, the banner behind the podium said, "Farewell to Mr. C.M. Dodi from Dodiacs." And I was very delighted to read that, because it means to me, at least it meant to me, that I have created a brand of engineers who are devoted to quality, QA, QC, and they call themselves Dordiites by my surname. Your quality control of construction will become easier if you know how to lead your team. And especially, it becomes more easier when you have a trained team, a team which is devoted to quality, and a management which is devoted to quality, supporting the team. I can give you some examples. Let us take the quality control person on the field where concrete is produced in a batching mixing plant, maybe by an automatic control or by semi-automatic control or manually. He casts the cubes, he takes the workability of the concrete, and he guides the operator, the water content which is to be put or the workability which is to be achieved. He plays a very key role, but he is the junior most person in the round of quality control. He is trained And as long as the trained person is doing the job, you are assured that the quality control will be good. One day he absents himself and a substitute quality control person takes charge. He may not be trained or he may not be as competent as the trained person, and definitely the quality will vary on that particular day. So we assure that every time there is a standby quality control person, he may be doing some other job on day-to-day basis, but he knows the technique, he knows what is quality and how quality is to be controlled. Similarly, a pump operator also plays a very important role, just as important as the batching plant operator, and he has to ensure that the pump works and works properly. It's a hydraulic equipment. The safety requirement says you should never stress any hydraulic equipment beyond the 90% of its rated capacity. So he has to maintain the safety, he has to maintain the pump, and he has to see that consistent quality concrete is pumped into the formwork without any delay and stoppages. So he also plays a very important role. On the left hand side, you see the tower mounted placer boom and three gentlemen raising their hands because they have broken the world record of highest pumping of 601 meter in the Burj Khalifa project. And be happy to see that two of them are Indians and one person maybe he's a foreigner from the consultants or from the equipment suppliers. Good quality construction cannot be carried out by using poor quality materials. But it is often possible that poor construction is done using good quality materials. Now, gone are the days which I hope have not yet completely gone, because in the rural area of the country, a lot of work is done totally manually on a very small mixer, and the aggregates are not proportioned properly. There is no mix design followed, etc. And it's only where the ready mix companies come in, the quality has improved, and that also it is improved if it is properly supervised. On the left hand side, you can see the manual way of 1-4 concrete being done. You can distinctly see that the aggregates are of a very large size, cannot be 20 size, but they are almost the size of the potatoes and onions they get in the market, which is not fair to the concrete. And the sand is very fine. So, of course, you will never get dense concrete. You will always get gap graded concrete, which may be very easily segregating and causing homes, etc. On the right hand side, you see the scenario of a ready mix plant in Nasik, where proper quality control was established by the person in charge, and he has made partitions of the correct size where separately different graded particles are stacked, especially the aggregates, etc. And also care was taken to spray some water in during the hot weather, so that water, when it evaporates, cools the aggregate, and therefore in the batching plant you get a lower temperature concrete initially, and which is good, because otherwise the cement will start setting and consuming the water, and the mix will become stiffer much faster than required. So all these processes are very, very important. But I will show you one photograph here. You can see very clearly. This is an imported batching mixing plant, not on the Tata project. It was on our hydroelectric project, where different agencies were working without much of quality control and quality assurance. And on my visit there, I noticed that the plant
Sir, sound is not coming, sir. Sound.
you don't require a mixer in the plant because the material is getting mixed already at the backside of the plant, and you can't get quality because of the same. So you can say to your management not to have a mixer in future, buy a batching plant, not a batching mixing plant project which you are handling. And it so happened that during my initial lectures on pump concrete at Indian Concrete Institute, I was delivering the lecture on the pump concrete, and I showed this slide. And the managing director of that company, who had never visited the site, saw the and had a good laugh that you don't need a mixer at the batching mixing plant because the material gets mixed up because of bad storage. At the tea break, I told him that, sir, that was your plant. And of course, I don't know whether he enjoyed his tea session or not, but certainly the project manager must have had it because the managing director was very, very quality conscious person. Another very important thing in the process is that every ingredient which goes into the batching plant has to be of proper quality. I can give you one very good example that when we started unit number 5, the target was to do almost around 1 lakh cubic meters of concrete during the period of construction from the batching mixing plant, and not considering the other small mixers and concrete producing units were there in the plant where it was far away from the main plant. So total quantity must have been about 1.5 lakh cubic meters of concrete. But gravel was being used at the batching mixing, and that because of the clay coming in the gravel was developing a silt coating, and therefore the quality suffered like anything. It was very difficult to achieve M20 grade concrete, means M 200 kg per centimeter square strength concrete, because of the coating. We had to insist on the contractor to wash this coating so that clean aggregate go into the batching mixing plant. With great difficulty, we convinced the agency to do it. Otherwise, we had to levy penalty on him for producing substandard concrete from a very state-of-the-art batching plant. And it so that this became a rule, and it was a very important role quality control played in getting good quality aggregates, clean aggregates for use in concrete. Initially, it was felt that it is impossible to do it, but Nelson Mandela says it always seems impossible till it is done, but it was done. Another very important role the quality control plays on the field is improvement. Good product can at times be misunderstood as having poor quality due to inaccurate testing. This happens happens not only in the cement plant, but also happens in the field where we do inaccurate testing of the concrete. Bad product can be often misunderstood as having good quality due to bias reporting. Both places this can happen, in the cement plant as well as in the field where concrete is being produced. Some workers intend to give good results so that they get good promotions, but the quality suffers because of bias reporting. There is no chance for quality to improve when bias reporting takes place. One can see that with good material also you can get bad quality, and therefore it is very important that both in the concrete laboratory as well as in the cement plant laboratory, the temperature control and humidity are as per the standards that must be followed, and also the knowledge of the codal provisions and procedures are very, very essential. I'll give you a couple of examples of incorrect testing. The platens of the compressive testing machine are machined properly. Some people buy compressive machine. Some people buy compressive testing machines which are cheaper in quality, and therefore the platens are not very properly machined. So we used to test all our compressive testing machine in the cement plant as well as in the concrete plant, as well as during the work which we were doing for the Tatas on the project, for the platens being proper. A simple method was developed. You put a white paper on top of it, you put a carbon paper, both at the bottom of the cube and at the top of the cube, and then gently press the cube manually. Again, open up and see the impression on the carbon paper. You can see here on the right hand side, on the left hand side, there are some white marks and there are some big white marks also. This shows that the platen is not uniform. And wherever there are white marks, the compression testing machine does not give load on those places where there are white marks. As a result, the area taking the load reduces, and therefore the stress measured is much higher and the cube crushes, but indicates that it is having low strength. Really, it is not, because if the platens were properly and the machine platens were tested the way I showed you, it would be a different story. You'll get the correct reading. Another thing important is sometimes settlement of cement slurry occurs on one of the cube due to improper leveling and handling of the cube or of the vibrating machine. This also causes the cube to get crushed. Wherever there is slurry, it won't be able to take the correct load which you desire to carry, because aggregates are absent. So we must make sure that both these methods are done and checked for better. Another important thing is judging the quality from statistical data. Many a times we got histograms which were not bell shaped, and this indicated that there is something wrong going with the production as far as quality is concerned. We used to test quality of cement at 3 days, 7 days, and 28 days. And 3 days, 28 days results were given as the quality parameters which the quality control people had to achieve. And sometimes biased results were observed and confirmed, because we also saw that whenever the 7 days results were low, 28 days results were higher, which can never occur, and vice versa. So we have to have a proper reporting system, unbiased, which shows a bell-shaped curve like you see on the figure. Proper reporting of quality control alerts the management to take corrective action. Biased reporting does not alert management. Improvement is possible if there is accurate reporting of testing. There is no substitute for accurate reporting. Regular calibration and maintenance of important equipment is a must. All technicians must be trained in safety and testing procedures. Material quality is important again, not only of the material like cement for the cement plant and concrete for the concrete plant, but also for their individual raw material. It's very important. All raw materials must be properly checked and tested before their usage. And use of an old cleaner cannot be an excuse for drop in quality. Another very important thing is that the quality control laboratory should be in the field itself. Most often, of course, in the plant, the cement plant always has a quality control laboratory. And of course, it should have a trained person manning the laboratory, trained technician. But the same things are not at the site. Many a times we have observed that there is no laboratory on the site. Even if this concrete construction work worth crores of rupees is done, they cannot afford to have a proper site laboratory, which is very, very sad and quite unlike the doctors who have every hospital. They have a proper testing laboratory for blood sugar, urine, etc., so that the operating surgeon gets the proper report. Here the engineer has to operate without a laboratory, which is a very, very important thing in construction also. QC person is very important. He should be observant and watchful. He must only believe in what he has tested and seen and inspected personally and give a correct report. He must give an accurate report so corrective actions are taken on time. And he should have the pleasure in his job of QC. Aristotle said that pleasure in job puts perfection in work, and automatically you get proper quality control. Just to give you some examples of simple rules, while we are fixing the targets of cement in a plant, first is you must decide, do you want to be of the best or be amongst the best quality, or having the cheapest production cost in the market? Very difficult. Generally, I would recommend select the product which is the best in the market, like we did at times in Ambuja during the early days when Mr. Narottam Saxena was the managing director. Quality parameters and targets should vary depending on the application. Very important, because cement is used in several applications. Always specify minimum value of the target strength never specify average value. If you say average value, it will mean that first 10 days you produce good cement and the next 10 days, 20 days you produce bad cement, average will be okay. No, that is not the thing. Average is for an average person, not for an average. Nowhere quality control person can be an average person. He has to be a very important person. So minimum value must be your target. There should be no allowance and excuses for lowering the approved quality target after they are fixed. Then it becomes a rule and everyone has to follow the rule, not make excuses later on when they fail to achieve the targets. In my opinion, cement which requires minimum water for the same workability and using identical water, identical proportion and quality of materials in concrete is the best cement. So it is very, very important that cement, when I say cement means even consistency which we measure in the laboratory before casting the cubes should have the same consistency and identical proportions. Now, what happens is that are we really using, when we are testing cement in concrete, identical and standardized aggregates? No. So you have to convert them in your laboratory as the IS 383, and especially when you are benchmarking one cement with another, or you are benchmarking one cement used in concrete with another used in concrete. It's very, very important. You'll be surprised to note that when we were doing testing of cement, we found that the standard sand, which used to come from Ennore and had to have a particular grading as shown by the standard, was not having that grading. So in India, we are producing standard of not being of standard or substandard standard sand. So we have to convert the sand in such a way so that we use in our laboratory a real standard sand which should be there. Quality is often given less priority to speed and economy, but if you are a true quality person, you will give quality the first. Speed and economy comes later. Because I have seen in my experience, and I will show it to you a little later in the slide, where we had done bad quality work resulting in costly and expensive repairs. Like for example, this particular TG deck, which was cast for unit number 5, had very many defects, and the contractor did not take adequate precautions to pour the concrete. As a result, serious segregation took place, and once the concrete has started, we can't stop it, and this resulted in costly repairs. And to give you an example, I'll show you the TG deck which was cast later, of how quality improvement took place. Quality must always be given preference. Good quality will never be deterrent to speed, nor it will be economical. Here it is now. This was the bad quality TG deck which we constructed during Unit 5. It was so large that even the most ardent managing could not give a decision that it has to be demolished and reconstructed, because it would have taken years to demolish such a big chunk of almost 140 meters of concrete. In those days, cement was available at 22 rupees a bag, and the cost of this concrete was about 2 lakhs of rupees. To repair the concrete, the company spent 8 lakhs and utilize 3 months of repair time. So with quality, you don't get economy, nor you can get speedy work. But when we did the next project, number 6, we did not repeat our mistake of unit 5. The entire deck was planned properly right from the design stage itself. The reinforcements were worked out in such a way that placer boom hole right down to the top of the lower bars of the TG deck, about 3.5 meter deep. Also, there was enough space for a 16mm needle vibrator between the concrete and the formwork to go down and vibrate the concrete properly. This concrete looks like butter, and finish also was superb. And we achieved the requirement of project, and the TG deck was placed on time without any delay, because this type of operation, concrete operation, needed no repairs. Durable, dense, and equal concrete produced. And here you can see on the right hand side the placer boom hose going at the right place into the sleeve of which were placed at different intervals. So operator of the placer boom can lower the hose exactly at the location marked, and there is no segregation of concrete. You can see the bars are not coated with mortar all over. So clean operation and trouble-free operation took place. Aim is to do better, to do taller, to work faster and safer. QC representative, a trained person, an experienced person, will always find his own solutions and will make lesser mistakes. When we constructed the unit chimney, it was only 150-meter tall as per the requirements of the environment, and the contractor ensured that the supervision will not take place properly, so they did not put the manpower hoist for people to go up conveniently. We had to climb up ladders, and we had to rung ladders and scaffolding. And I remember sometimes it used to take for me half a day to reach the top. You are so tired that you have no energy to supervise quality. Went in for a taller chimney for unit number 6, a 275-meter tall chimney. We had specified in the tender itself that on the day the hoist, which carries the manpower and supervising power up the chimney, if it does not work, the work stops. No concreting is allowed to. This resulted in very efficient installation, not only of this concrete but also of the equipment, faster work, superiority, and better safety. Michelangelo, the famous architect, said that the greatest danger of most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but it is too low and we reach it. If you see the works of Michelangelo, you will realize how great this man was as an architect. Coming to my own experience, during the study with gurus and fellow students, yeah. However, after studies, one has to face the professionals on implementing quality. My first on the project unit number was in the coal yard, where as a supervisor, I had to supervise the quality as well as the overall solution of a vacuum cooler which had foundation 17-meter deep, and the water table was only half a meter deep. There were cracks adjacent to the pit which created much discomfort. The soil used to collapse, etc. again, and it had a safety guard. And we had to be very, very careful because we were being in an operating area. With with experience, supervision, I was 8 years experience. I was only experienced in maintenance, and so were my bosses and seniors, and therefore we made all the possible mistakes anyone can make while doing a job. The contractor also was supposed to be experienced contractor, but he had no experience on concrete mix design, etc. And therefore, we made a bad job due to requirement of proper experience supervision. But I had never given up. Lucky for me, training from Mr. A.B. Remedios came in very handy for me. And before the training, I always looked like the cartoon you see of rubble and sitting there wondering what went wrong. The training, a different person. And I really compliment people who have helped me, especially Mr. A.P. Remedios, in learning concrete mix design in 1979. And thereafter, there was no looking back. No 1, 2, 3, 1, 1.5, 3, or 1, 4, 1, 2, 4 concrete, etc. Mr. Remedios was an excellent trainer, excellent understanding of concrete, not afraid to tell his bad work, always willing to share his experience, encourages willing and young people to learn, committed to his profession, well disciplined, punctual, and a strong person. He was originally from Zimbabwe, and you know how hard a person or a monkey works in the jungles of Zimbabwe. He had developed that strength and ability to work. After undergoing training, timely inspection and quick corrective action, along with to learn new methods and techniques, were useful keys to successful application of quality control system in concrete and in materials. Learning after experience of on large projects, it gave confidence to publish most of these books by Ambuja Cement. I could capture some of the important tips for the future years to follow in these booklets. 158 booklets are produced for and teaching, and I always observe you teach people the art of construction, the art of mixed design, etc. You also learn something more from them. Development of to QCs, corrective actions. QC inspector, very important must be skillful enough to identify non-cracks before they occur and must be capable enough to give suggestions to prevent or correct them as well. This is very, very important. One of my senior colleagues in electric companies, he was heading the mechanical department in the engineering, and I was handling civil department. He used to call me do or die. Dordi is my surname, but he used to call me do or die because of my principles of quality, which used to insist on the field. One must be willing to change. We change from 1 to 4 concrete to mixed design, uh, which was taught by Mr. Remedios. I would like to quote one incident which happened that after I completed writing my booklet on the concrete mixed design, I requested Remedios to give the forward. He refused. He said, no, I'll be writing my own book, etc. I will not give any forward. So we published and published this booklet. We taught many field engineers the art of mixed design booklet. In one of his visit to my office, he says, Dodi, I have found out that in Bombay, when I ask people what mixed design you use, they said that we use the Ambuja method of mixed design. What is new Ambuja method? I said, sir, it is the old method which you only taught us, and I wanted you to give a forward for this, but you said that you are going to put a book shortly, which is still not published. So we are very much following our Ambuja method of mixed design. Forget about Ambuja method, Remedios method. Now we are going in for very high performance concrete of very high strength. And so
The
Sorry,
sound,
your
sound.
voice is not coming.
we are we were supplying cement to their head office at the Bandra Kulla complex, and they wanted to buy cement. We recommended our 53 grade cement, which they were hesitant to use. So they say 53 grade cement was not of their opinion. You should use 53 or 43 grade cement. I told them you cannot achieve M40 grade concrete which you desire to plan, or even M250 grade concrete with 43 and 33 grade cement, which were available in those days. So 53 was the answer. Ultimately, they agreed. I told them how to prevent cracks, especially the shrinkage cracks, etc. But later on, when they made the basement wall, they observed that there were cracks coming in the wall. So they summoned me. They also summoned the design engineer who came on the site, and we inspected the site jointly. And I found that the cracks had occurred at a spacing of 6 meters correctly. Therefore, I turned round to the designer. He said, sir, let us exchange portfolio. You produce cracks exactly at 6 meters center to center, and I will produce a design which can crack exactly at 6 meters center to center. He immediately understood that I was hinting at him, and he said, no, there is another building over here where they have done the work with 53 grade, but it was not your brand, and therefore, and there are no cracks in it. So I said, okay, let me see a free building. Yeah. Let me see a crack free building. So we visited that. It was in an advanced stage of construction, very dark in the basement, but gradually my eyes stabilized and I saw some crack. I said, "What is this?" He said, "No, no, this is an expansion joint. This is a joint in the form which the contractor has used." So we immediately took a measure tape and saw on either side 6 meters. So the contractor had fortunately used 6 meter panels. So he had a joint again 6 meters away, and there was no cracks because joint is a crack, man-made crack, which the contractor had done correctly. And on the other side, where there were very big contractors, very big client, very big business, and they wanted the same diaphragm wall or the wall to contain the earth from coming inside in the basement, they used 32 meter shutters, and therefore the concrete cracked in between. He immediately understood and gave guidance to the earlier side of the BSS side that please use only 6 meters, don't use such big panels, otherwise cracks will appear. Now, sometimes you can see a beautiful face coming out of a crack if you come to a proper conclusion. Coming to the end of my talk, overcome the essential causes that lead to quality non-compliances. The causes are: you should not be ignorant about the technicalities as well as practicalities of construction and materials. You should not be negligent and properly supervise and properly report what you see and give a correct and honest report. You should not be careless and close your eyes to bad quality. You should be able to use good quality materials supplied by the client to produce good product at the end. And above all, you should not be greedy. Well, there is no solution for that. A person should be honest and have a honest approach to work. We all make mistakes in life. Repeated mistakes are like conscientious courtship with goddess of stupidity. Unless you want to get married to goddess of stupidity, you can go making mistake, but you cannot get married more than once, and therefore you have to live with the mistakes. A joke on quality assurance engineer. Quality assurance program of a newly married engineer who wanted durable and sustainable marriage. So very happy, you can see his smile going from year to year, very happy he's married. But after 2 years, his halat became like the one on the photograph. He was worried, his marriage was not working. The quality engineer married an average girl. After 2 years of tough life for her, finally the engineer got angry and sent a note to the father-in-law stating that your product not meeting my requirements. Generally, we have only 1 year liability period in our works. Of course, now with all the big infrastructure projects going on, the life of the civil works have become very important, and they specify 50 years or 100 years life for the structures, and has to be committed by both the contractor and the designer. Of course, continuing with the father promptly replied, warranty expired, manufacturer not responsible. and he escaped the clause of durability and sustainability. I thank Shelly Fernandez, Managing Director of QCrete, QC, and his team of engineers who helped me in this presentation, Ashwarya, and of course, his director who is looking after the quality. I thank my wife for guidance and inspiration during my talk, and all participants for their valuable presence and good wishes. If you have any questions, please forward it to Shelly sf2013@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shelly. Over to you.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Yeah, good afternoon.
We, on behalf of QCrete India Limited, we thank Mr. Cyrus Dodi for this beautiful presentation. Some of the points are really extremely good and like guidelines for quality control team of any company, whether it is cement or concrete or even construction. And I always think that Mr. Dodi has a very pleasant and unimitable way of presentations, which is appreciated by one and all. And I think probably in our career or in my career, I have not seen any great presenter, simple, who makes it simple for all the people who are associated with civil engineering, whether it is concrete or construction. We thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your presence, and we are
Thank
fortunate
you.
to hear. And we thank all the participants for coming on this Saturday and listening to this beautiful lecture from Dodi sir. And we
Yes.
thank also Mr. Shali Fernandez, our MD, for making this presentation possible. Thanks a lot. Any questions you can forward to us actually, and we will try to answer. Some of them will be answered by Dodi sir himself. Some of them we will answer. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.